They say time heals all wounds, but some wounds never close. Some are too deep, too violent, and too intentional, and some are carved into our history like warnings. And this is one of those stories, one they hoped would stay buried, one they hoped we'd never speak of again. They like to tell the stories that make them look brave, noble, and justified. But the ones where they were the monsters, the ones where they lost control of the narrative, where no matter how they tried to twist it, they still come out looking like the villain, those stories get erased. Well, this is one of those stories, and they buried it deep, but we're about to dig it up. Because what they did to John Carter wasn't just a crime, it was a message, a display, a public performance of hate. We don't know much about John Carter's life. We don't know where he was headed that day, what his dreams were, who he loved, or who was waiting for him to come home. But we do know this: he was a black man in the wrong place at the wrong time. And for that alone, he was lynched. Now, this took place in Arkansas. And remember, I just told you about what was going on in Arkansas after Reconstruction. How black folks were finally starting to get ahead, owning land, opening businesses, building whole communities. Ninth Street in Little Rock, that was Black Wall Street energy. And with that kind of progress came resentment. Because once the federal troops left and the Confederates took back over, everything shifted. And not just in Arkansas, all over. A whole new era began. One where black progress was treated like a threat. And all it took was one excuse, any little incident, and they would seize the moment to kill a black man and get away with it. And here's how it all started. In May of 1927, a young white girl named Floella McDonald was found murdered. Her body discovered inside a church bell tower. Two suspects were eventually arrested: Lonnie Dixon, the church's janitor, and his teenage son. They were described in the newspaper as mulatto, which usually meant black or mixed race. And you can already guess what that meant for how they were treated. There was questionable confessions, a so-called mystery witness, and likely no due process. But tensions in the town were already reaching a boiling point. People from nearby areas flooded in demanding blood. They wanted someone to pay. Completely separate from that case, a white woman and her daughter claimed they were assaulted by a black man. And not a particular black man, just a black man. And for the mob, anyone would do. And that's when they found John Carter. He didn't do anything. He was just walking down the street, but they said he did it. And that was all they needed. They found him, beat him beyond recognition, tied him to a telephone pole, and used his body for target practice. What they did to John Carter was beyond words. The pain he endured, just imagine it. And for no reason, well, there was a reason, but not anything he could have helped. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's it. Everything they did to him, it was overkill, but it was calculated. It was planned. They wanted it to be a spectacle. So after they finished with target practice, they took him down, they tied his body to the back of a car, and dragged him all through the streets of Little Rock. They brought him right into the middle of the black community. And let's pause right there, because if you've heard of Jasper, Texas, where James Byrd Jr. was dragged to death in 1998, this was that, but 70 years earlier. They broke into Bethel AME Church, a place of worship, a place of peace, and ripped out the church pews, built a bonfire, and burned his body right there in front of hundreds of people. And yes, some of them took photos. They made postcards. But it didn't stop there. They looted the black businesses in the area. They stole from stores, wrecked property, and terrorized the whole neighborhood. This wasn't justice. It wasn't even revenge. It was hate set loose with no accountability. And the stories people told afterward, they're almost too much to believe. People claim they used his severed arm to direct traffic. Some say they took his fingers as souvenirs. Now, this isn't one of those stories they want to tell, because in this one, they look like the monsters. And they don't want their grandkids knowing Papa was one of those men, smiling in those postcards. They don't want their family names tied to that violence. So they keep stories like this out of the textbooks. But John Carter didn't do anything. He was just a man trying to get home. And instead, they used him as a release valve for all the hatred and fear. Now imagine the other side of that. Imagine John Carter's family waiting for him to come home, and he never does. Imagine finding out the next time you see him was in pieces, in photos, in burned remains left in the middle of the street like trash. Imagine the grief, the trauma, the humiliation. That kind of pain doesn't just go away, it ripples. And yet, this is what happens when black communities begin to thrive. There's always pushback, there's always a threat. Arkansas was thriving. Black folks were building something powerful, and hateful people couldn't take it. Like we said before, black success always comes with a price in this country. They don't just try to stop you, they try to destroy you. And this is why they don't want these stories told, because they don't want to be the villains. They don't want to be the monsters in their own family tree. But we're going to tell these stories anyway. So make sure you comment, like this video, and subscribe for more stories like this. And most of all, share it, because if we don't tell these stories, they'll keep pretending they never happened. Peace.